Hello YouTube, Louis here, and what a beautiful place, right? This is Istanbul, Turkey, and I saw an article the other day about gold repatriation, but first I'm going to show you why they are repatriating their gold, and then we'll read the article. So if you do not follow Turkey, you may not know this note offhand, but Turkey has had bouts of inflation in the past. Catastrophic bouts of inflation. This is a defunct currency, $20 million, I believe they call it a Lira. They have had inflation in the past, and it has wreaked havoc over their country. And I think they are quickly being put into the categories of other failing currencies. So why does this matter? Well, let's get a little more information. So going on to, here it is. So here is the Lira versus the US, or the US dollar versus the Lira since 2014. Here we see from the US dollar to Turkish Lira chart that in 2014, a dollar would buy you approximately 2 Lira. And in 2015, a dollar would get you 2.7 Lira. In 2016, 2.9. In 2017, 3.5. In 2018, well, let's just go right to the middle of 2018. Now it costs 4.6 or 4.7 Lira to every single dollar. Okay, this is the inflation that's occurring there, right? And you can see this also in the Turkish inflation targets, and this is kind of a curious thing. Oh, you can't see that. Hold on one second while I move this. All right, so going back to 2002, this country had 30% inflation. All right. 2003, 18%, 2008, 10%, and now we'll get into the more current years. They have been running between 8 and 12% inflation. Now these numbers do not appear to jive very well with the devaluation of the Lira, which appears to be devaluating much more quickly than these statistics indicate. Perhaps these are government statistics because their target is 5%. All right, and very interesting that they have a 5% target, and they clearly see that they cannot control their inflation. Their Lira is becoming more and more worthless. Seems like closer to 30–40% inflation to me if we go back to the chart. I mean, here, $3.50 to a Lira, here for 4.7. That looks to be about 30% inflation, maybe the number. So the question I would ask you is, if you lived in Turkey, right? If you lived in Turkey, which does a lot of trading with the European Union, by the way, what would you do? Okay, and my argument is, you see this now, this inflation? Okay, what if that were our country? Whether you're in Canada or you're in Great Britain or you're in the United States, if you saw this happening, what would you do? What would you do? Would you buy precious metals? Well, let's read the story now and see what's going on. Is gold repatriation a trend? Turkey gets its reserves back from the United States. Hold on one second. All right. This story is from April 20th. There may be a more current story, but this is from Kitco. Turkey joined the ranks of Germany and Hungary as the latest country which brought back its gold to home base. This according to reports from the country's media. Reports from Turkish media outlet Yeni Şafak suggest that the country brought back all of its gold stored in the United States Federal Reserve. The report published Thursday indicates that the country repatriated 220 tons of gold from the U.S. sometime last year. Kitco News was unable to confirm this. Okay, so 220 tons. How much gold is that, for God's sake? Let's get the calculator. Let me move this up here. 220 tons. 220 times 2,000. That is 440,000 pounds times, what is it? Is it 12 troy ounces to a pound? Let's just assume that's 12. Okay, that is 5.3 million ounces of gold at $1,300. That is, let's see, thousands, millions. That is $6.9 billion of gold. Let's see, now let's look at the story a little further. If I did that math right. The country's gold reserves currently rank 11th in the world, so pretty substantial, behind India with about 226 metric tons, according to data compiled by the statistics portal. Turkey's central bank said its gold reserves amounted to 25.3 billion. So I guess they had a lot of their own still. Analysts told Kitco News that the move is likely politically motivated rather than economic, the consensus being that Turkey is sending a message to the U.S. with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan making currency his priority. Turkey's decision has a more political intonation than economic. Managing Director of RBC Wealth Management is trying to shore up their currency. And I think repatriation has a lot to do with currency pairs trading. Turkish media reported Erdogan as saying these debts should be in gold because at this point the carat of gold is unlike anything else. The world is continually putting us under currency pressure with the dollar. We need to save states and nations from this currency pressure. So as we know, the dollar is strong, very strong, and other countries' currencies are failing due to their fiat practices. But again, what would you do? So I'm going to end this news report here. But if you lived here, guys, this is coming to the United States. Nobody can say when or for sure, but this kind of inflation is coming. All right, we have seen it before, not necessarily 30% a year, but what do you think these people who lived here wish they had done in 2014? And perhaps they all do, and I'm just being foolish to assume they keep their money in Lira. But if you had money in Lira in 2014, if you had 10,000 Lira in 2014, you would certainly only have about 3,000 purchasing power remaining at this point in time.